You're watching Fugitive Red Eye, and welcome to another Top 5 video. Why a Top 5? Well, because today we'll be talking about manga authors and artists, or mangaka if you want to use the Japanese term. And I haven't read anywhere near as much manga as I've seen anime, and I don't want to put most manga authors on here for one work. I wanted to put on ones that I liked enough as an author because of their multiple works. However, there is one pretty major exception that I made, which we'll get into in just a moment. I've reordered this list a couple of times. Keep in mind, I'm going in order for my personal favorites, not as far as objective best, although I do think that all of these guys are objectively like some of the best manga authors out there, and their influence in their respective genres is fucking huge. Literally, these guys are titans of the manga industry, so let's just jump into it. So for number 5, we have that one exception I was talking about before. As I said, I didn't really want to put a lot of them on here just because of one singular manga work, but with Kentaro Miura, I felt like I had to. Because I think it's pretty clear that Berserk is objectively the best drawn and written manga there is. Berserk is objectively the best manga. It's not my favorite manga, it's in my favorites, but it's not my number 1 favorite. And truth be told, I haven't read anywhere near all of it. But Kentaro Miura's Berserk is a huge manga. It takes a lot of things that were established in the manga art form and improves upon them. It takes upon the content of Devilman and improves upon it. Griffith is basically a better written Ryo Asuka, which, you know, as someone who prefers Devilman on a personal level over Berserk, that should say something. Obviously, I think Berserk is objectively better than Devilman, and I think it improves on it in every way. I personally prefer Devilman, but Berserk is easily the best manga, and because of that, I felt that Kentaro Miura absolutely had to be on this list. Number 4, we have Junji Ito. Now, this is one that I've moved around on the list a couple of times. Junji Ito has been number 4 and number 3, just depending on what point I'm making the list. But I do feel like that number 4 is fair, given who I put at number 3. But Junji Ito is easily my favorite horror manga author because his work is genuinely creepy. He has a very unique way of making very mundane things fucking terrifying with the way he draws them. Junji Ito is unique. His art is unmatched. It doesn't translate really into anime very well because it's very uniquely still black and white that makes it work. I still like the Junji Ito collection anime. I know a lot of people fucking hate that one. I still enjoyed it. But his manga is unmatched. Like, there's nothing that elicits the same disturbing response as his work does. He's easily the best horror manga author. Number 3, we have Akira Toriyama. Akira Toriyama, obviously the main work of his I've gotten into is Dragon Ball, but Toriyama was super influential on anime and video games and manga in so many different ways. Dragon Ball being the biggest one, I think it completely revolutionized Battle Shonen and defined what the genre would become. He contributed to great RPGs like Chrono Trigger, Dragon Quest, Dragon Warrior, and tons of others. Toriyama's art style and influence has been felt throughout the entire manga industry. Without him, anime and manga just wouldn't be what it is. Like, his work popularized it in the West, he defined a lot of what would become the genre. Toriyama is the king of shonen. Absolutely he is. So he absolutely deserved to be on this list. And again, I kept switching him and Ito back and forth, but I think just due to the sheer influence and impact Toriyama has had on the industry, I had to put him higher. Alright, number 2, we have Toshio Maida. Toshio Maida was super influential on the hentai market. He's one of the few guys who writes hentai with a good story. Yorotsuki Doji is one of my favorite animes. The manga is still really good as well. I do prefer the anime over the manga, if I'm being perfectly honest. Toshio Maida's original manga is still really good. And Adventure Kid, from what I've read so far, is pretty good. The La Blue Girl manga is pretty good from what I've read of it. Toshio Maida is a really chill guy. He'll talk to, like, anybody. Like, he's very approachable and easy to get a hold of online. Like, he's super down to earth. But, like, you know, he defined the tentacle genre of hentai. He completely, like, started that genre. Not to mention, I think Yorotsuki Doji is just as influential as things like Dragon Ball, Akira, and plenty of other things in starting to bring anime over to the West early on. So, Toshio Maida, the Tentacle Master, I love his work. He's also a really chill guy. Yorotsuki Doji's one of my favorite series. I fucking love him. He's great. Alright, number 1. Who's surprised that it's fucking Gonaguy? I mean, who else would it be? It's my fucking list. Of course it's Gonaguy. Gonaguy single-handedly started multiple genres. He started the ecchi genre with Horenchi Gakuen. He started the super robot genre with Mazinger Z. He was a pioneer in the magical girl genre with Cutie Honey. Without Cutie Honey, there'd be no Sailor Moon. His works themselves influenced tons of manga authors who would come later. If there was no Devilman, there'd be no Evangelion. There'd be no Berserk. There'd be no Parasite. Gonaguy also has one of the earliest examples, if not the earliest example, of the Wasteland Warriors genre with Violence Jack. Violence Jack predates Mad Max. It predates A Boy and His Dog. It predates Fist of the North Star. Like, it is the start of that genre in a lot of ways. Like, there might have been stuff before it, but Violence Jack is a really early and prominent example. Devilman, Cutie Honey, and Mazinger Z were all hugely influential on all of the manga and anime that came after it. Gonaguy's impact is undeniable. I think he's easily the most influential mangaka out of the entire industry. Nothing else even comes close. Like, Gonaguy started so much. There's a reason he's my favorite manga author. I love his work. He's super influential. He writes a lot of gag comedy, as did Akira Toriyama, but he also is really good at writing horror and characters. Gonaguy, at a single time, would be writing up to 5 manga at once. And that's not just, like, different chapters. Like, he was writing 5 series on a weekly basis. Each day of the week, he's pumping out a new chapter for a different series. That's fucking dedication. But yeah, those are my top 5 manga authors, manga artists, mangaka, whatever you want to call them. There are other ones that I really like out there. Obviously, I like Sugumi Oba, who did Death Note, but that's, again, just because of Death Note. I like Lin Nakamoto because of Elfen Lied, and to a lesser extent, Brynhilde in the Darkness. And I like Ryukishio 7 for, Higurashi, and to a much, much, much lesser extent, Yumi Neko. Again, I haven't actually seen the manga or visual novel, so I've heard that's better, but I fucking hated a lot of the anime with Yumi Neko. I don't completely hate it, but it's got a lot of problems. But yeah, Gonaguy, my obvious number 1. Toriyama had to be on here. Ito had to be on here. Maida had to be on here. And Miura had to be on here because of Berserk. I hope you enjoyed this list. Like I said, a top 5 is all I could really come up with, just because I haven't read anywhere near as much manga as I've seen anime. But anyway, just thought I'd get that out of the way. Hope you enjoyed. Have a good one. Toodles!
Subscribe to Fugitive Red Eye.